So we're going to go ahead and get started with today's webinar, Pivot Your Data Game Plan. We're all in, I don't know if we're all in, but I'm in the middle of March Madness with basketball, one of my favorite college basketball, one of my favorite times of year. So forgive us for inserting a little bit of basketball humor into today's webinar. I don't know who you're all rooting for, if your brackets are busted or whatever the case might be. But anyway, welcome to the session today. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we'll move this out of the way. So has WIPS got your team in a frenzy, right? Okay. So we all know that you're here from, as you're managing your Scaling Apprenticeship grant. There are lots and lots of business rules to manage, lots of data entry requirements to stay on top of. The DOL ETA continues to change data elements, data business rules, WIPS, and Pearl compliance, and all kinds of things that you've got to keep up with. And that can be kind of frenzied or kind of crazy. And so you're all here in the middle or the middle-ish of your grant. You're kind of at halftime, as we're saying, with basketball season. And you're here for a reason. Either something about this webinar caught your attention, that you're in the midst of trying to improve your data collection and reporting processes, for some reason, or you're always just curious to see what's out there. So welcome, glad you're here, glad to be able to show you, what AGS Prime has to offer and what we have been doing now for about 23 years. So we are not new to the table. We are not new to WIPS. We are not new to Pearl. We are not new to WIA or WIOA. We've been around DOL ETA grants for a very, very, very long time. In fact, we have a team that is very much considered H-1B subject matter experts, as we have worked with supporting well over 200 community colleges and grantees for Tech Hire and Strengthening Working Families Initiative, or SWIFI, America's Promise grants, lots of scaling apprenticeship projects, closing the skills gap projects, one workforce projects. And prior to all of those H-1B grants, we supported dozens of TACT grants for all 4 rounds of that particular grant. So we have a lot of experience in supporting these kinds of initiatives for compliant data collection and compliant and somewhat rigid, of course, as the case might be, reporting requirements to DOL ETA. So we are here supporting lots of these projects, and you are here to probably see what is new, at least new to your world, and how we might be able to help you sort of midway. So it's halftime. Maybe it's perfect time for you to make a new game plan. And so right out of the email invite, no smoke and mirrors, no switching up here. I'm going to take you through some, of the key aspects of, if I were in your shoes, what do I want to see to convince me that this is a better tool and it works? So I'm going to, first of all, we're going to dive into showing you the WIPS upload. What does it look like out of AGS Prime to run a WIPS report that's ready to be uploaded to the WIPS system? Toggling over to WIPS and going through the upload interface and uploading your compliant application report. Then we're going to switch gears and quickly just show you what the data collection, the data inputting side looks like. So that you can see that tangible case management business process, the baked in business rules and validations and field edits that come directly from the Pearl that support the data collection process in a straightforward, case management process to really help your end users use a tool that's logical and easy to use. I'll show you a couple of data visualizations or reports so you can see what that looks like beyond WIPs, of course, which is the most important report. There's lots of other reports that you're going to want to do, if you're not already, for grant management and project management. With our years and years of experience, we always provide a handful of canned reports that grant managers and project managers, just want to have in their arsenal for managing operations. And then last but not least, I'm going to show you what it looks like for importing the data. I'm not going to import data per se. That's something that we do for you, but I'm going to show you what we ask of our new customers who are sort of at this halfway point or midway point where you have existing data, some or a lot as the case might be, and you're looking at switching to a better option, a different option, but you absolutely don't want to take on the black hole of, oh my God, I have 1,000 records. How am I going to get that data into the system? And I'm just going to stay with the devil I know, right? So I want to show you what that looks like so that it is something that hopefully takes the mystery and the fear, or not fear, but the confusion out of making a switch. It's not rocket science, it really isn't. So I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes on those three key topics today, and then we'll have some time hopefully for some questions or discussion, and that will be the session for today. Quick bit of housekeeping. In the material section of the Go to Training Control Panel, there's a couple of links. One is the PDF for today's slides. If you want those, they'll also be automatically emailed to you afterwards, I believe. And then there's a link to our YouTube playlist for other videos, should you want to have some other time to look at some of our other sessions kind of like this, to just get a deeper dive. And this session, which is being recorded, will also be added to that informational YouTube playlist within the next probably 24 hours or so. So if you want to come back to this, have any of your colleagues take a look at it, or whatever the case might be, that will be there for you as well. So without further ado, let's dive into the application. I'm going to go over here and excuse me, switch to a different screen. And here's AGS Prime, my demo domain, demo.agsprime.net. And I'm going to go ahead and sign in. So I've signed in as an administrator. And one of the things that Prime is actually a platform as a service for a no-code platform. What we have done is used our own no-code platform to build out an H-1B application for all of these grants. We have built pre-defined compliant templates for all of these H-1B grants and other grants, just like career dislocated worker grant. We are preparing the ABA template for apprentices, for a couple of other grants. I can't even remember them all right now, but we have created pre-built templates using our own tool for these grants. Part of what you get with a subscription to the Scaling Your Apprenticeship application is you get the platform. And so we also get to train you to build your own applications for other grants, should you want to, at no additional cost. So what you're seeing here, I only explain that because you're seeing lots of other applications in my console. But I really want to just kind of play with my H-1B demo. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this particular application. This is my demo application. There's no actual customer data here, of course. And this is what the application architecture looks like. Quick sidebar, it's completely browser-based. There's no proprietary hardware or software that's needed in order to use the tool. And all of our customers are hosted in Amazon Web Services, or AWS. All of our customers have their own dedicated hard-walled virtualized web server. So there's no commingling of our customers' data in what's called a single tenant environment. Salesforce is on the other end of the spectrum, not to pick on Salesforce, but they're just very well known. Salesforce is what's considered a multi-tenant environment where all of their customers, reside in a standardized, a single data structure. And we only see our database and our login. So here, everyone is completely separated. All of our customers have their own domain name, thus their own dedicated IP address. And of course, you get all the benefits of the security and benefits of being within an AWS environment. So if you have more questions about any of the technical background or how we handle PII or security, or we can take that offline, or I can send you more information, or we can get together separately, no problem. But that's all I'm going to say about that for today. So our architecture, we have our menu across the top of home, participant management, where all of the participant data resides, right? All of our apprentices, our employers for an integrated CRM. This is going to help you keep track of your engaged employers for B2 in your real-time performance outcome measures. Right, so we're going to help you keep track of those numbers as well. You have an administrative module here that allows you to keep track of all of your own staff users and organizations and services, and lots of what we call catalogs or keywords that your particular project is going to keep track of for your own ONET codes, your own training organizations, your own training classes, your own credentials. Those are the kinds of things that each of our customers has some uniqueness. Granted, there's 90-ish fields, right, for the Pearl, but there's lots of room around the edges for you to keep track of information that is really specific to the kinds of things that you both want to track, you're accustomed to tracking, or you wrote some special things into your proposals that you just want to be able to track and report on to your own constituents beyond the WIPS reporting. So we give you an admin module for configuration control within the application, all without coding at all. It's very, very straightforward. In fact, I do those trainings, so it's not technical. And then, of course, reports. So I want to start here by showing you, this is the list of our canned reports, the pre-built, parameterized, visual reports, if you will, the pretty reports. Then we also have a list of a few dozen queries. You can write your own reports. You can build your own queries beyond the starter list, if you want to think about it that way, that we provide for you. First among equals, of course, is your WIPS file. I'm going to go ahead and just run the WIPS right out of my demo system. This is what the parameter box actually looks like that our customers use. They're going to select their grant. They're going to select the program year. They're going to select the program calendar. We know this is all calendar year quarters. For the purposes of demo, I'm going to include the header, even though we know when we really submit WIPS files, we do not include headers. But for testing and our own analytics, we might want to have the header, so we give you that option. We also give you a data validation or an error checking report, just in case anything slipped through the cracks. We give you the ability to run another error file, so you never submit to the feds a WIPS file that has not been completely QA'd by the application and by you. For today, I'm going to say yes, ignore the error file, because I know in my system, my demo, I've got some errors, and I just want to be able to show you what this looks like. I'm going to leave all the rest of these parameters by the default, and I'm going to run this report. So this is what all of our customers do on a regular basis. Because there's no direct integration, automated linking to WIPS, you can run this report regularly. So here's what my report looks like. in my demo system, I have lots and lots of records here, right? Scroll across the top. So this is what all of our customers do on a regular basis. We always encourage customers to run this pretty regularly just to kind of stay on top of the data. But then once a quarter, they run this report, make sure there's no errors. When this is good, they run this and then toggle over the feds and upload this file. And that's it. That's where the magic occurs. I'll come back to that spreadsheet in just a second. One other report I do want to show you is we do provide you with your real-time performance outcome measures report. I bring this up on this call because I know that the newer grants are requiring this report to be a required augment report to their QNRs. I fully expect that you're already starting to hear from your FPOs that they want you to include a report formatted in some fashion that's expressing how you are meeting your goals. And so we have always produced this kind of an outcome measures report for all of our grant customers. And you can see that this is managing all the A sections, your goals, and the B sections. And then this application does the auto calculating for you. In that admin module, we have a catalog where you're going to keep track of all of your goals per year, your projections, that is to say. And you can slice and dice your projections per year, per organization, or per college, which is not uncommon. If you have special populations like women or veterans, also quite common. You'll put in all those goals, and then this report will produce for you these analytics. In this demo case, I actually do have a special population for year one for women. So this report will automatically produce this separate worksheet for you for this goal. So very, very popular report. If you haven't already spent the hours building this, you'll be happy to know that this report is here and our customers love it. Let me go back to my application. And I'm going to switch gears again really quickly and jump over to participant management and just show you what it looks like to do data entry, so you can see what some of the forms kind of look like. Again, this is very much a living, breathing case management structure where we start with creating the person's profile. We have a self-registration module that is heavily used by each of our customers. And so very frequently, the self-reg model will be provided, links on partner websites or however they want it, embedded forms using an iframe or some such in partners' websites, depending on how they want to do it. We don't care. It doesn't matter. You can do it a lot of different ways. And so a lot of times this demographic information, this profile information gets pre-filled by your potential participants, right, who are giving you some of this data. And so that really saves on staff data entry time. And, clearly these grants are looking at in some cases, some pretty big numbers. So having self-registration really helps to pre-fill a lot of this initial data, really helps with numbers and time. What you're seeing here are demographics and fields that are, come directly from the Pearl. The allowed values, the help text comes directly from the Pearl. This is, and what we do then is, while we have male, female, and participant did not self-identify, behind the scenes for the Pearl, of course, we're doing all the transformations for the aliasing for your Pearl upload process. So we capture demographics, and then we document, program enrollment on the program form. And so things like the program keyword list is one of those catalog entries that as administrators you create so you can keep track of all of the different programs that are being funded by this grant, right? The programs are oftentimes named by occupations, very frequently by organization-occupation, however you want to do it. This is not a WIPS reporting element. This is really helps our customers, really tell their own story of who came in the door, what do they look like, what program did they get enrolled in, what training did they accomplish, what credentials were attained, and what job did they have when they started and when they finished, et cetera, et cetera. So we give you some of these additional types of fields around the edges. Program characteristics and apprenticeship training during enrollment. These fields should look very familiar. Built into these forms, if I just change this one value of employment status at program entry, you're going to see I get some on-form errors because the business rules don't allow for data to say that a person can be unemployed at program entry and be a recipient of incumbent worker training. So I cannot also be employed and long-term unemployed. So just some really quick examples of this on the form, on the field business logic that really helps guide your data entry team. And it might be a team of people from all over the country if you have multi-state consortiums. You need a tool that's going to aid in the data collection process, because without the data, you don't have good WIPS reports. Without good WIPS reports, everything, is compromised. So we try very, very hard to both support the data entry process and, of course, support the click the magic button and produce a WIPS report. So we really try to look at the holistic picture of how to help manage these grant programs. So this is a very long form. It's a living, breathing form. We're going to come back and we're going to document the date of program exit and so on and so forth, keeping track of credentials and training, or I should say training and then credentials in this case, keeping track of employment. Very important here, the apprenticeship hire date, which is really some key metrics. So just a quick look at what it looks like to be managing the data through this case management business process using a tool that provides on-screen and on-form business logic to help your data entry staff put in clean data the first time. So you're not chasing down bad data, at the nth hour trying to get your WIPS report going. Integrated employer management module, same kind of look and feel, where we're going to have an employer profile, activities, contacts. And the employer profile is where we keep track of the engagement date so that we can do that calculation for your real-time performance outcome measures for B2. So this is really important information, super simple to put in, and it brings a big bang for the buck. Let me go back over to reports really briefly before I show you what the import model looks like. I want to show you just a couple of quick reports over here that are pretty heavily used by our customers. I'm going to use the participant checkpoints report. It's probably one of the most heavily used reports that's not a federally required report, but it's used by our grant managers for keeping track of data and where their partners are in putting data. So I'm going to run this report, leave my toggles on. So by staff organization, I can see all of my participants, and I can see their by last name, their staff organization, their program. You can see my columns up here. Funded by, are they a pre-apprentice? Are they in what type of apprentice program are they in? Incumbent worker, yes or no? Do we have their employer documented from the employer record? And then we get to see, kind of where the holes are in the data, this checkpoints report. So there's some key metrics that are, that really drive to your WIPS reporting. Are they enrolled in a program? Have they, do we have them documented in a training program? Have they completed training? Have they exited the program? If they have, where are we in follow-ups? You get these quick, easy green check marks, red X's to really help you see data and see the progress throughout the data entry process here. So this is a pretty heavily utilized report, probably, as I said, one of the most used reports in the system, of course, beyond WIPS. For my and then for the services dashboard, just be able to help you keep track of the level of effort that's going on in terms of data visualizations here. This is a report that is, again, not a federally required report. One of our more popular reports that are used by customers to kind of report on, what else is going on in the application. Let's see how long this takes to run here. If it's not too long, I'll show it. Otherwise, I'll just kind of move on. But it does provide a nice look and feel for how many services have been provided. If you're keeping track of costs of services, this can provide a really neat look and feel. I guess it's going to take too long. I'm not going to bother with that one. And then our program enrollments dashboard, and see if this runs in a timely fashion here. I don't know if this will. It seems to be running maybe a little bit long as well. We get some additional, here we go, some additional visualizations. When your reports really start to look good, that's when these dashboard reports start to get included in augment reports. And you can, in the parameters built into the reports, you can run this for each of your organizations or each of your, your programs coming from that program list. And this is just, a toggle here, just to kind of, look in more detail in any particular time period. And then we've just pulled out some key items here as part of this visualization for some of the key things that people want to be able to report on. So it's kind of a neat report, one that again is used frequently, especially by organizations who are using this tool and they're putting in proposals for other grants, and they want to show, their level of transparency and their ability to demonstrate their efficacy, and using some of these reports to put in their proposals is kind of a cool thing to do. So I just wanted to kind of show that report as well. One last report that I want to show for my data analysts on the call is our code book. And this is probably something you don't typically see out of commercial products, but we think this is very important because we always want you to feel like you're in control. I'm going to go ahead and run the code book for the WIPS file. So for example, people want to say, well, how is Prime calculating, X, Y, or Z? So we actually take this code book by data, by section, Perl section, by data element number, sort of return to you the Perl information, but now it's in a much more readable format than that incredibly complex and large a spreadsheet. I mean, it's certainly readable, but this is a little bit easier. And then we compare that for you to where all of this resides in Prime. What form, what field, what's the back end field name, what's the WIPS field name, and then how are we calculating? What are the conditions? What's the error checking? So you can see even the coding, what we are doing with every single data element, with every single logical rule that's in the WIPS file that's used for calculating WIPS. So all of that is completely transparent as the Perl changes. As WIPS requirements change and as Perl business rules and fields and other things have changed, we saw that in pretty large measure just a couple of quarters ago. And there's still some things they haven't yet fixed. We keep the code book up to date, so you always have the most recent information about how we are handling information at your fingertips. So if you want to do a search for 1813, everybody's favorite field, date completed post-secondary training while they're in the program, here's how we're handling that field. If you want to do a search for incumbent, all the fields that start with that have those letters for incumbent in them, you can do a quick search. So great to have the code book here. I just wanted to point that out because that's one of those key aspects that people really appreciate having at your fingertips about how we are handling every single aspect of our reporting as relates to this grant requirements. So last but not least, with the time we have remaining, So you're midway through your grant, you've got a ton of data, you like what you see, you want to change, or whatever the case might be. And you say, well, good Lord, that's going to be a nightmare in and of itself. I don't want to go and do that. Let me show you how we handle that, because obviously we are handling that for new customers now. I guess you've probably seen this pop up already. So what we have is a spreadsheet. Imagine that, right? So what we're going to do is take, we'll ask you in a secure communications method, FTPing or password protected, or different of our customers have different methods for communicating securely for this kind of information. We'll want you to take your most recent validated WIPS report. And it should have these exact same columns in the same order. And then we will prepend that with a handful of columns that you will need to have A through P filled in for us for a record. Things that just help us do an import for a structure, for a solid, appropriate database. So because we have what's called organization level security built into the application, so all of your partner agencies, community colleges or employers, or however you're doing this, wherever you have staff doing data entry and they belong to an organization, a staff organization, a data entry organization, the organization level security architecture of Prime is such that they will only see data for their organization. So only staff users from organization A see participant data from organization A. Staff users from organization B only see participant data from organization B. If I'm an administrator, like I am, I will always see all of the data from all organizations, and that cannot be locked out because I need to run WIPS reporting. But because we have this thing called organization level security, we need each record to be identified with what we call a staff organization. Which organization had the staff person who set this up. So there's a handful of fields that the organization will fill in. So some of these are program catalog IDs that are part of our database, date of intake, staff users, funding IDs, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a handful of fields pre-pending this WIPS, validated WIPS file. With that data, we will do your import for you, and that will pre-populate your data, as simple as that. And by taking this data, we will be able to break apart the fields from the WIPS file and pre-populate all of the appropriate forms for the profile and the program and the training and the credential, right? All of those in the employment, all those forms with that data, and pre-populate that for you. So you start with a pre-populated case management database, if you will, with all of your validated data. Simple as that, right? Perfectly simple. So with that, those are the things I really wanted to cover today. I'm going to jump back to my presentation and jump to the very last slide and say thank you very much. I don't see any questions chatted in at the moment. So thank you very much for your time. Oh, there's one question that just came in, sorry. What kind of timeline does it usually take to get started? Great question. Oh. We have a one-page order form. Once our order form is signed, you pick your domain name. We'll turn your site on typically within 24 to 48 hours. Your domain will be set up. Your application will be available to you. We will schedule admin training. I will be your administrator trainer. And I like to do two 2-hour training sessions for the administrators. So I show you how to go through all of those administrative catalog, configuration controls. It's not very hard, but you have a lot of control. So I'm going to take you through a 2-hour training how to do that. I'm going to give you some homework. We're going to come back in a few days, maybe a week after that or so. We'll review all your homework, review your questions. Business process questions will undoubtedly be coming up. And then you'll be already thinking about your end user training. And end user training can occur as soon as you feel like you're ready to have your systems configured, your data is imported, and you're ready for end user training. So it can be very, very quick, a week or two. We just did another state system, and we finished their admin training last week. Did a quick admin review session yesterday just to make sure, and we did end user training this morning. So that was, and that's not atypical, especially at this point in your processes where you are now experienced with working with this grant. It may not have gone quite the way you wanted in terms of data management, which is why you're here. And then we can really help move you into this new environment and into a solid, intuitive structure to get you going very quickly. So great, thank you for that question. I appreciate that. Anything else from anybody before I let you go? I'm already 2 minutes over my allotted time. So. Okay, no other questions. I, again, very much appreciate your time. Go whoever your favorite basketball team is for both men's and women's. Go team, and thank you all very much for being here and enjoying our little bit of March Madness. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.